AITA for refusing to move my wedding date, even though my sister just got engaged. My parents are paying for her wedding and threatening to boycott mine if I do change it. I'm 28F, and I genuinely need outside perspective because my family is making me feel like I'm being unreasonable when I know I'm not. I got engaged to my fiancé Lucas in April of last year. We've been together for 5 years and we're best friends. We started planning our wedding immediately and booked our venue for October 15th of this year. That's next month. We've been planning for 18 months. From the moment he proposed on that rainy spring evening in the park where we had our first date, I knew this was going to be special. We spent countless hours browsing venues, tasting cakes, picking out flowers that matched our vision of a cozy autumn celebration. I even handmade some of the decorations to give it that personal touch. Everything has been locked in, deposits paid, contracts signed, and I've been counting down the days with excitement mixed with the usual pre-wedding jitters. My sister Natalie is 25. She's been dating her boyfriend Josh for about 10 months. They've had a whirlwind romance, meeting at a mutual friend's party and hitting it off right away. Last week, she called me screaming with excitement because Josh had proposed. I was genuinely happy for her. I congratulated them, asked about the proposal. It was at a fancy restaurant with a hidden ring in the dessert, classic but sweet, and all the normal sister stuff. We chatted for a bit about how surprised she was and how perfect the moment felt. Then she said, "We're thinking October 1st for the wedding, this year." I laughed because I thought she was joking. October 1st is 2 weeks before my wedding, but she wasn't joking. Her voice was dead serious, and I could hear the enthusiasm building as she described why it was ideal. "Natalie, my wedding is October 15th. You know that. We've talked about it 100 times. I know, but October 1st is perfect for us. It's a Saturday, the venue has availability, and we want to get married this fall. The leaves will be changing, and it's just romantic. There are other Saturdays in October. There's literally the entire month of November, or even next spring. Why would you pick a date 2 weeks before mine? That puts everyone in a tough spot." She got defensive immediately, her tone shifting from excited to annoyed. Said she fell in love with that specific venue, a charming barn outside of town with string lights and rustic vibes, and they only had October 1st available this year. She said it was perfect, and she'd already put down a deposit without even consulting anyone else. "You put down a deposit without talking to me first? Nat, I've had my date booked for a year and a half. You were there when I announced it at family dinner. And I'm giving you 2 whole weeks in between. That's plenty of time. People can handle 2 events close together." I told her it wasn't plenty of time. Our family and friends would have to take time off work twice, travel if they're coming from out of town, buy outfits, get gifts, attend all the pre-wedding events like showers and rehearsals, do all the wedding stuff twice within 2 weeks. Half our guest lists overlap, including aunts, uncles, cousins, and mutual friends from childhood. It's going to be exhausting and expensive for everyone, not to mention the emotional toll of back-to-back celebrations. She said I was being unsupportive on what should be the happiest day of her life. That she'd just gotten engaged, and instead of being excited for her, I was complaining about logistics and making it all about me. I said I am excited for her, but that doesn't mean she gets to book her wedding 2 weeks before mine after I've been planning for 18 months. I've poured my heart into this. Late nights picking playlists, debating color schemes, even dealing with vendor delays during the summer heatwave that almost ruined our flower arrangements. She said, "Well, can't you just move yours? You have time to reschedule. It's not like your date is set in stone." I stared at the phone in disbelief. "Move mine? Natalie, I've had deposits down for over a year. The venue, the caterer with that amazing fall menu we sampled, the photographer who's award-winning, the DJ who specializes in our favorite indie bands, the florist who's sourcing seasonal pumpkins and leaves. Everything is booked and paid for. I have 200 people confirmed, including Lucas's extended family from across the country. The invitations went out 3 months ago, custom designed with our monogram. So, just send out new invitations with a new date. It's not that hard. People understand these things happen. It is that hard and expensive. We're talking thousands in cancellation fees and new bookings. And why should I have to move my wedding that I've been planning forever just because you decided on a whim to get married 2 weeks before me? This feels like you're trying to one-up me or something." She started crying then, loud sobs over the phone. Said I was making this about me when it should be about her. That older sisters are supposed to be supportive and help make dreams come true. That she'd found her dream venue and her dream date, and I was trying to ruin it for her by being so inflexible. I told her I wasn't trying to ruin anything, but that she needed to pick a different date. There are so many options. Why force this? She hung up on me without another word. 10 minutes later, my mom called. Her voice was stern from the start. She said I needed to be reasonable and move my wedding date to avoid all this unnecessary drama. I said absolutely not. That would be giving in to ridiculous demands. She said Natalie had her heart set on October 1st and that I was being selfish for not accommodating her little sister's big moment. Mom, I've had my date for 18 months. Everyone knows it, including Natalie. And you can pick a new date. Natalie found the perfect venue, and you know how impulsive she can be when she's excited. I found my perfect venue 18 months ago and paid for it. Why is her impulsiveness my problem? My mom said that Natalie's wedding was going to be smaller and simpler, just a backyard affair with close friends, so it made sense for hers to be first. She said my wedding was going to be bigger and more elaborate, with the full reception hall and live band, so having it second would be like the grand finale to the family's wedding season. I said that was ridiculous logic, and I wasn't moving my date. It felt like they were treating weddings like a competition, and I wasn't playing that game. Then she dropped the bomb. Your father and I are paying for Natalie's wedding. If you refuse to move your date, we won't be attending yours. I was speechless. My own parents were threatening to boycott my wedding because I wouldn't rearrange everything to accommodate my sister's last-minute wedding. The words hung in the air, and I felt a knot in my stomach. I said, "You're seriously going to miss your daughter's wedding over this? After all the planning, the excitement we've shared." "We're not missing it. You're choosing to create a conflict. If you'd just be flexible and move your date, there wouldn't be a problem. We're trying to make this work for everyone. There wouldn't be a problem if Natalie picked literally any other weekend. This is on her, not me." My mom said Natalie couldn't help when she fell in love or when the venue was available. That this was about family supporting family through life's big moments. That I was being difficult for no reason and risking tearing the family apart over a date on the calendar. I told her that was emotional manipulation and I wasn't going to be bullied into changing my wedding date. She said I'd regret this and hung up, leaving me staring at my phone in shock. My dad called next. He was calmer but said the same thing, that I should move my date to keep the peace and avoid unnecessary tension. That Natalie was younger and more emotional and needed to go first to feel special. That as the older sister, I should be mature enough to compromise and show leadership. I told him this wasn't a compromise. A compromise would be Natalie picking November or even waiting until next year. This was them demanding I upend 18 months of planning, cancel vendors, notify guests, and absorb costs to cater to Natalie's impulsive decision. He sighed and said, "Your mother and I have made our decision. We'll be at Natalie's wedding on October 1st. Whether we're at yours on October 15th depends on you. We love you, but we can't be in two places at once if there's a conflict like this." Lucas has been incredible through all this. He's furious with my family and says, "We're not changing anything." His parents are appalled by my family's behavior and have offered to help cover anything we might need since my parents are pulling their support, even though we didn't need it financially. But here's the thing, my parents weren't contributing financially to my wedding anyway. Lucas and I are paying for everything ourselves, from the elegant fall decor to the custom cake. So their threat to withdraw support is empty. They're just threatening to not show up, which hurts more than any money could. My younger brother called me yesterday. He's 22 and usually stays out of family drama, preferring to focus on his college studies. He said Mom and Dad are serious about not coming to my wedding if I don't move it. He said Natalie has been crying nonstop and that everyone is miserable, the house tense with arguments. I asked him if he thought I should move my date. He hesitated and then said, "Honestly, no. You've been planning this forever and Nat knew your date, but she's the baby of the family and you know how Mom and Dad are with her. They're going to take her side no matter what, even if it's unfair." He's right. Natalie has always been the favorite. The baby, the one who can do no wrong. I've spent my whole life being the responsible one, the one who doesn't cause problems, the one who accommodates everyone else to keep harmony. From giving up toys as a kid to letting her have first choice on vacation activities, it's always been me bending. And I'm done. I texted my family group chat. "My wedding is on October 15th as planned. I'm not changing it. You're all invited and I hope you'll be there. But I'm not rearranging my life because Natalie made a poor planning decision." Natalie responded, "You're a horrible sister and I hope you're happy ruining my wedding." My mom responded, "You've made your choice. We've made ours." My dad didn't respond at all. Lucas's family has stepped up in amazing ways. His mom has been helping with last-minute details, like confirming the seating chart and tasting backup menu options. His sister offered to stand in for my mom in any mother-daughter traditions since mine apparently won't be there, like helping with the dress or the bouquet toss. It's sweet, but also heartbreaking that I need stand-ins for my own family. My friends are all on my side. They think my family is being ridiculous and that Natalie is being spoiled and manipulative, with some even offering to help confront them if needed. But they're my friends, of course they're on my side, rallying with texts and calls full of support. I need to know from objective people, am I wrong here? Should I move my wedding date to keep the peace? Is having my parents at my wedding worth rescheduling everything, dealing with the stress and costs? Or am I right to stand my ground and refuse to accommodate my sister's decision to book her wedding 2 weeks before mine, after I'd already been planning for 18 months? Because right now, my family is making me feel like a monster for not giving up my wedding date, and I don't know if I'm being stubborn or if they're being unreasonable. Update 1 month later. A lot has happened since I posted. People have been asking for an update, and honestly, I need to process this all by writing it out. First, the most dramatic part, Natalie and Josh broke up. Or more accurately, Josh called off the wedding. Here, what happened. About a week after my original post, Josh's mom reached out to me on Facebook. She apologized for the situation and said she'd only recently learned about the conflict over the wedding dates. She said she'd tried to talk to Josh about it, but he'd been defensive, brushing it off as family stuff. Then she told me something that changed everything. Josh didn't actually know about my wedding date when Natalie booked October 1st. Natalie had told him that date was perfect and that the family was all available. She'd specifically not mentioned that her sister was getting married 2 weeks later, even when he asked about fall schedules. Josh's mom said she'd found out when she was addressing invitations and noticed a lot of the same family members on both lists with weddings 2 weeks apart. She thought it was odd and asked Josh about it, but he had no idea what she was talking about, looking confused and concerned. When he confronted Natalie that evening, she apparently said it was fine, that I was going to move my date anyway so there was no conflict. Josh was horrified. He'd met me a few times at family gatherings and had always been nice, even bonding with Lucas over sports. According to his mom, he felt like Natalie had lied to him and put him in the middle of family drama without his knowledge, making him look bad to his own relatives. They had a huge fight that lasted into the night. Josh said if Natalie had been honest from the start, they could have picked a different date without all this mess. He said the fact that she'd lied and manipulated the situation was a red flag about their relationship, questioning what else she might hide. Natalie told him he was overreacting and that it was just sister stuff. He said actually, he'd been having doubts about getting married so quickly anyway. They'd only been together 10 months, and this situation had shown him that they weren't ready, highlighting trust issues. He called off the wedding the next day, returning the ring and canceling the venue deposit. Natalie was devastated. My mom called me crying, saying this was all my fault, that if I just moved my date, Natalie would still be getting married and happy. I said if Natalie had been honest with Josh from the start, or if she'd picked any other date, none of this would have happened. Lying to her fiancé was on her. My mom said I was heartless and hung up, her voice breaking. I felt bad for Natalie despite everything. A broken engagement is painful no matter the circumstances, and I could imagine her heartbreak after the excitement. But I also felt vindicated. I'd been right that her behavior was manipulative, and it had backfired. My brother told me later, over coffee, that Natalie had specifically chosen October 1st because it was close to my wedding. She wanted to get married first so she could show me up with a better wedding, thinking her rustic barn would outshine my elegant hall. Apparently, she's been jealous of my relationship with Lucas for years, how stable and loving it is, and couldn't stand that I was getting married first, stealing her spotlight as the baby of the family. That hurt deeply. My little sister was so jealous of me that she'd tried to sabotage my wedding and had lied to her fiancé in the process, all to one-up me. After the breakup, my parents backed off the threats about not coming to my wedding. My mom called and said, "Well, I suppose we can come now since there's no conflict." Her tone was flat, like nothing had happened. Not an apology, just a casual statement that they'd attend now that it was convenient for them, as if their threats were forgotten. I said, "Actually, I need to think about whether I want you there after you threatened to boycott unless I rearranged my entire wedding." That kind of ultimatum doesn't just disappear. My mom was shocked, said I was being petty and holding a grudge over a misunderstanding. I said I was protecting myself from people who'd shown me they'd choose my sister's whims over celebrating my marriage, and that trust takes time to rebuild. Lucas and I talked about it extensively that night, weighing the pros and cons. We decided that my parents could attend the ceremony, but we weren't reserving them special seating up front. They wouldn't be included in family photos unless they apologized sincerely, and they definitely weren't participating in any of the traditional parent moments like dances or speeches. We'd have Lucas's parents step in if needed. I called my mom and told her this the next day. She was furious, raising her voice about how ungrateful I was, said I was punishing her and that this was supposed to be a day about family unity. I said family shows up for each other unconditionally, and she'd proven she'd only show up on her terms, choosing sides. She tried to guilt me further, said she was my mother and deserved respect and recognition at my wedding for raising me. I said respect goes both ways, and she'd shown me none by prioritizing Natalie. She said she'd talk to my dad and get back to me. 2 days later, my dad called. He actually apologized, his voice heavy with regret. said he'd been wrong to threaten not to attend, that he'd let my mom manipulate the situation into a bigger mess, and that he should have stood up for me from the start as the fair thing. He said he was ashamed of how he'd handled things, and that if I'd let him, he'd love to walk me down the aisle like we'd always talked about. I cried. My dad and I have always been closer than my mom and I, sharing hobbies like hiking, and hearing him take accountability meant everything. I said yes to him walking me down the aisle, but I told him my mom still owed me an apology for her part. My mom never apologized. She sent me a text saying she'd attend the wedding and expected to be treated like the mother of the bride, with all the honors. I didn't respond, letting it hang. The wedding was last weekend. It was absolutely perfect, better than I could have dreamed. My dad walked me down the aisle and cried the whole way, whispering how proud he was. My brother was one of Lucas's groomsmen, looking sharp in his tux. My mom attended, but she was cold and distant the whole night. She sat in the regular guest section, not the family row up front. She wasn't in any of the family photos, standing off to the side awkwardly. She left right after dinner without saying goodbye or congratulating us. Honestly, I barely noticed her mood. I was too busy having the best day of my life, surrounded by joy. Lucas's family was incredible. His mom gave a beautiful speech about welcoming me into their family, bringing tears to many eyes. His sister caught the bouquet and made everyone laugh with her victory dance. His parents danced and celebrated and made me feel so loved, filling the gap my own family left. My friends were amazing, toasting to our future and sharing stories. The venue was gorgeous, with fall leaves scattering like confetti. Everything went perfectly, no hitches with vendors, perfect weather. At the end of the night, Lucas and I stood there looking at our reception and he said, "This is exactly what we wanted, worth every bit of standing our ground." He was right. Natalie didn't come to the wedding. She texted me the day before saying she was too heartbroken to attend. I think she was embarrassed more than anything. Everyone in the family knew by then what she'd done, whispering about it discreetly. My brother pulled me aside at the reception and apologized for not standing up for me sooner. He said he'd been a coward and that watching me hold my boundaries had inspired him to stop being afraid of mom and dad's reactions, even if it meant conflict. That meant a lot, strengthening our bond. Final update, 5 months later. It's been 5 months since my wedding, and I wanted to give a final update because things have reached a conclusion. My marriage is wonderful. Lucas and I just celebrated our 5-month anniversary with a quiet dinner at home, reminiscing about our big day. Every day I'm grateful I didn't let my family's manipulation ruin our wedding. We got back from our honeymoon to Thailand in November, and it was perfect. Beaches, adventures, creating memories that solidified our bond. My relationship with my parents is complicated. My dad and I have repaired things mostly. He's apologized several more times and has made a genuine effort to rebuild trust, like calling just to chat or sending thoughtful gifts. We have dinner once a month, and he and Lucas actually get along great, bonding over shared interests like golf. He's respected my boundaries and hasn't pushed me to reconcile with my mom or sister, understanding the pain caused. My mom and I barely speak. She's never apologized for threatening to boycott my wedding or for pressuring me to move my date. She'll occasionally send me texts about family events or holidays, but they're cold and perfunctory, like Christmas is coming up. I respond politely, but don't engage beyond that, keeping distance. She told my aunt, who told me that she's hurt I pushed her out of my wedding and that I've been holding a grudge for months. She still doesn't see what she did wrong. In her mind, she was just trying to keep both her daughters happy, and I was the one being difficult by not bending. My aunt told her that's not what happened at all, and that she'd lost my trust by choosing sides and making threats instead of mediating fairly. My mom apparently said my aunt didn't understand the full situation, dismissing it. My aunt said she understood perfectly and suggested therapy, but mom changed the subject. Natalie and I haven't spoken since before my wedding. She's still with Josh. They got back together about 2 months after calling off the engagement, after some time apart. They're taking things slow now and apparently have no wedding plans in the near future. Josh's mom told my dad that Josh insisted on couples counseling before they even discuss marriage again, and that Natalie is apparently learning to be more honest and less manipulative through the sessions. I hope that's true. I hope she grows from this experience and reflects on her jealousy. But I don't have the energy to rebuild our relationship right now. It's too raw. My brother has become my closest family member. He's been amazing, checking in regularly with calls or visits, being genuinely excited about our life together, even helping with house projects. He started standing up to our parents more, which I'm proud of him for, like calling out mom's favoritism during a family call. Last month, my mom tried to orchestrate a family healing session where we'd all sit down and move past the wedding drama. She booked a neutral spot and invited everyone. I declined politely. She was upset and said I was keeping the family divided by refusing. I said she divided the family when she threatened to skip my wedding over a date conflict. My dad attended the session without me. He told me afterward that my mom spent 2 hours talking about how hurt she was, that I'd excluded her from wedding photos and traditions, focusing on her feelings. Zero accountability for her actions. Zero recognition that she'd caused the problem by issuing ultimatums. Natalie apparently cried and said she missed me and our sisterly bond from childhood. But when my dad asked if she wanted to reach out to apologize directly, she said she didn't think she should have to apologize for falling in love and wanting to get married, deflecting to her excitement. So there it is. Neither my mom nor my sister can admit they were wrong, and I've made peace with that, focusing on my own happiness. Here, what I've learned from all this: you teach people how to treat you. For years, I accommodated my family's unreasonable demands because I wanted to keep the peace. I was the easy daughter, the one who didn't cause problems, the one who made sacrifices so everyone else could be happy, from lending money to Natalie without question to always hosting holidays. Standing my ground on my wedding date was the first time I'd ever really held a boundary with them, and they couldn't handle it, revealing the dynamics I'd ignored. My mom has spent my whole life choosing Natalie over me. This situation just made it obvious, like when she funded Natalie's college fully but made me take loans. And while that hurts, it's also clarifying. I know where I stand now. I know what I can expect from them, and I can protect myself accordingly. I'm building my own family with Lucas. His parents treat me like a daughter, inviting me to family game nights and holidays. His sister is becoming a real friend, sharing advice and laughs. We're creating our own traditions, like monthly date nights, and our own support system that's healthy and reciprocal. Do I wish I had a close relationship with my mom and sister? Of course, but not at the cost of my self-respect. Not by teaching them that threatening and manipulating me is an acceptable way to get what they want. That would poison my marriage from the start. My wedding date was October 15th, exactly as planned. It was perfect. I married the love of my life surrounded by people who genuinely wanted to celebrate us, without drama. My mom's approval wasn't worth sacrificing that. My sister's jealousy wasn't worth accommodating, especially now knowing her motives. Some people have asked if I regret not moving my date to keep the peace. The answer is absolutely not. Moving my date would have taught my family that all they have to do is threaten and pressure me, and I'll cave. It would have set a precedent for my entire marriage that my boundaries don't matter, inviting more interference. Standing firm was hard, sleepless nights, tense calls, but it was right, empowering me. My wedding happened when it was supposed to happen. The people who mattered were there, and I started my marriage knowing I can stand up for myself and my relationship, even when it's difficult. That's worth more than my mother's approval or my sister's happiness. I'm closing this chapter now. My family of origin may never understand what they did wrong. They may always see me as difficult and stubborn. I'm okay with that. I know the truth. Lucas knows the truth. The people who really love me know the truth. And that's enough. To anyone reading this who's dealing with family manipulation, your boundaries matter. You matter.